Hi everyone, my name is Christine from Yoga Berry and I'm a yoga teacher specializing in yoga for scoliosis. So we're going to do a short practice today and it's going to be for a right thoracic curve. Don't worry if your curve is different, you might still benefit from this practice. However, I will point out adjustments for a right thoracic curve. Good, so let's get started. We're going to come to lying down on the floor. So make sure you are comfortable lying on your back. Now I have quite a thick yoga mat, so that's nice and cushioned. However, you might want to have a blanket or something to cover your mat if you feel like, especially if you have quite a big rotation in the back and quite a big hump. By the way, I don't have a big thoracic curve, so my main curve is in the lumbar spine. That's why you can't see very much in my upper spine, but I will show you some adjustments today for the right thoracic curve. So have a hand towel somewhere close by, and we're going to come to lying down on the back and have your knees bent. So lying flat on your back. Getting my hair out of the way so you can really notice the contact with the floor. And we'll just take a few breaths here to settle and just letting the front of the body relax into the back of the body. Taking a few nice deep breaths. So you will maybe start to notice how some parts of the back or the back body are starting to release a little bit easier into the ground than others. Now, if you have quite a big rotation and depending on the severeness of your curve in the thoracic spine, you might find that the right side of the upper body is in much more contact with the floor than the left. You might even find that there's a little gap at the back of the left shoulder or kind of left upper spine. Again, it depends on where your curve is. So just noticing that for a few breaths. Good. So because of the rotation in the upper spine, if you imagine it's twisted slightly around where the curve is. So this is where we're going to put our hand towel. So right thoracic curve, your curve is going towards the right. This is your hump side. So that's why you feel a lot more contact with the floor on this side. So that's we're going to put a little bit of support. And you have to play around with this where the exact right spot is for you. And it might be a little bit or it might be a lot. And then you will feel how the left side of the body can drop a little bit more, can drop into the ground a little bit more. So let's take another few breaths here. So what we're doing is we're slightly derotating the spine. We're also allowing for the muscles on the left to release a little bit more. So it's always a good idea if you're doing this on your own, if you set yourself a timer, and I would suggest to at least stay 5 to 10 minutes in this pose. Obviously, if it starts to get really uncomfortable, then it's time to come out. Otherwise, very beneficial to just lying flat on the ground and breathing, getting used to breathing. Now, there might be all sorts of things going on in your mind, and I know it's very difficult sometimes to slow down and you'll start to think about all the other things that you need to do. But just making this conscious decision that you're just taking 10-15 minutes out of your day, which are just for you and your body. It will make a big difference. Good, so ideally we would stay a little bit longer. However, I do want to show you a few other poses. So we're slowly going to remove the support and just notice what it feels like lying without the support for a couple of breaths. And then from there, slowly rolling yourself over to the side, and we're going to come up and we're going to come into a pose called child's pose, which I'm sure if you've done yoga before, you will be familiar with this. So traditional child's pose will look like this. You're sitting back on your heels, knees together, and then lengthening the upper body over the thighs, have the arms alongside the body, dropping the head down. Good. So that's the traditional version. That's not what we're doing today. So what we're going to do, I'm going to use a yoga bolster, but you can also use a cushion, for example, quite a big one. So probably the one from your bed is probably the best one, because we're going to bring it in between the thighs. So I have my feet relatively close together. Bring this bolster or the big cushion in between the thighs. And then we're going to lengthen the upper body over the bolster and rest on there. So my bolster is very well used. So it's quite low actually. So I could even have something higher on there. So this is just a normal bath towel which I'm putting on there. Just making this really super comfortable. So don't be afraid to use lots and lots of props. Obviously you do want this to be quite firm, and you want it to be even. So you don't want to have a dip in there and where you're arching the back. Good. So we're going to turn the head to one side, and now the position for the arms is quite important. So on the right side, I want you to have the arm exactly like this. So imagine the shoulder blade kind of drawing down at the back and in. And on the left side, I'm going to turn around. Show you my left arm. The left side, you can either just letting the have the arm alongside the body, so you're creating space at the back of the shoulder. So just imagine how this is the shorter side, so we're creating a little bit more space. So that's one version. This might be nice and lovely. Or you could have the arm a little bit further away from you, so you're creating a little bit more space here. And maybe try both. Maybe try on one day this version with the arm alongside the body, and then on the other day with this version. Now the head is turned to one side. So I would suggest you try 3 minutes to begin with the head to one side. And then after the 3 minutes, you turn the head to the other side. So just breathing into this, and you can really notice how the shoulders start to relax. And if you really enjoy it, you can always stay longer, of course. Good. So let's slowly come out of the pose now. And we're going to come into sitting. So you could either sit on a bolster or just sit on the floor. And I will sit on the floor now because I think you might not be able to see my head. Let me turn the camera. So I'm going to bring it up slightly. Good. So if you're sitting on a bolster or on a cushion, which I'm going to bring up here, you're sitting on the edge of it, and I'll show you from the side. So I don't want you to sit in here and your lower back looks like this or worse, or like that. So we don't want to round in the lower back. I want you to sit at the front of the bolster or even chair. You could also be sitting on a chair, and then see the curve in my lower back. So we want to have a natural curve in the lower back. So we're slightly tipping the pelvis forward, and this will really help to lift a little bit more through the spine. So this is our starting position. I'm going to turn around. So giving you a little bit of time to get comfortable. You can always pause the video and then come back to it. So you can't see my legs, but that's okay, because this is not so much about the legs. This is going to be much more about the arms. So close your eyes Take a few breaths. Getting used to sitting this way. Feeling the weight dropping down through the sitting bones. So if you have a compensating curve in the lower back, so if your major curve is in a thoracic spine, but you have a little curve in the lumbar spine, it will be to the left. So chances are that you might be dropping into the left sitting bone a little bit more than the right, in which case you can use your hand towel and just wedge it under the left sitting bone. Now you don't have to do this if you don't have a massive curve in the lumbar spine. You might not need this at all, so don't use your support if it's actually not necessary. So you decide. So for me, because I have a lumbar curve, I will put it under that side. Keep breathing, keep imagining softening the tops of the shoulders. Good. And then opening the eyes, we're going to bring the right fingertips down towards the ground just for a little bit of stability. Bring the left arm up towards the ceiling and then exhale, taking the arm over. Now this is very important for right thoracic curve, because what's happening, so your curve is going towards the right. This side is shortened, so we want to lengthen it. Really enjoy breathing into the left side. We're going to take a few breaths here. Good. And we're slightly going to rotate, so we're slightly rotating towards the ground. So you're actually breathing in a little bit more into the back of the shoulder. Good. Slowly bringing yourself up, releasing the hand. We're going to bring the left hand down, right arm up, stretching up. Now this is the side that is already long, so we're only going to do this once. I'm going to come back to the left side, the left arm again. But on this side, I really want you to think about opening the front of the chest, because if you're imagining how this side is rotating backwards, but the shoulder is probably dropping forward, so this muscle might be quite tight. So taking a few breaths here, opening a little bit more through the front of the chest, and then coming back to center, bringing the right hand down, bringing the left arm up, really lengthening here. Enjoy creating a little bit more space, and then taking the arm over. And then slightly rotating towards the ground, so you can breathe a little bit more into the back of the shoulder. Good. And then slowly coming up. Good. So always making sure that you take a few minutes in shavasana, lying down on your back at the end of the practice. And I'll just show you my preferred setup for this. So I use my bolster or cushion underneath the backs of my knees. And I usually have a blanket. There it is. I have lots of lovely props around. And I'm going to fold this blanket into a much smaller shape. So I have it probably about this size, and then I'm folding it like so. So you've got a little bit of space here, and that's why you're going to bring the shoulders, and the rest is for the back of the neck and the head. Good. So lying on your back, something under the knees, can be rolled up towel or yoga bolster if you've got one. And then bring the shoulders onto this little space here on the edge of the blanket. And I'm gonna remove my hairband because this is bothering me at the back. And then you can scrunch up your blanket slightly. So you're filling up that gap at the back of the neck, and make yourself a little nest for the head. So this is really comfortable. And then relaxing here, releasing into the ground. And again, you can set yourself a timer. Now I would stay, if I can, in an ideal world, if I have enough time, I would stay in shavasana for 20 minutes. However, I've got little children, so this is not always possible. But I will always try to at least stay a couple of minutes in shavasana and really letting go of everything. Letting go of negativity, letting go of negative thoughts, letting go of tension, anything that you don't need anymore, anything that doesn't serve you. Creating space for something new and something better. So when you're ready to come out of shavasana, just come out slowly, starting to move your fingers and your toes, slowly bending your knees. When you're ready, you're bringing the knees in towards the chest, rocking from side to side, and then rolling yourself over to the side. Stay lying on the side for another couple of breaths. And then supporting yourself with your hands, coming back up into sitting. Good. So I really hope that you enjoyed this, that you found this useful. Now I realize there's a very wide spectrum of scoliosis. So scoliosis is anything that is bigger than a 10 degrees curve. So everybody is completely different. And some people have had surgery. Now these poses are safe, however, listen to your body. So if something doesn't feel right, then it probably isn't. If you want to check in with me, feel free to leave me a comment. You can also join my Facebook group. So I've got a Facebook group which is called Yoga for Scoliosis Community, and I will post the link in the comments, so feel free to join us there, just for getting some inspiration and some motivation. And then if you have very specific questions, I do offer classes either in person, so I'm based in New Malden in Surrey, or otherwise online as well, so it would be via Skype or Zoom. So feel free to get in touch. Otherwise, I really hope you enjoyed this, and do let me know if you have any questions. Namaste.